Okay, look, I think we'll kick off. We're about 5 minutes in, so we'll definitely start. Look, firstly, want to say, hope everyone had a great Christmas. For those that celebrate Christmas and festive season, he's looking forward to. I hope everyone had a great 2023, and he's looking forward to an even more exciting 2024 on the horizon. I think if you're in the blockchain or crypto space, I think 2024 is going to be a very interesting year for us all. And very positive. Let's hope that that's the case as well. But look, I'm really excited about this X Spaces we're doing today. It is the first one where we get to talk to projects in the Xtalks series. So just to kind of let everyone kind of get familiar about what the Xtalks series is. Xtalks series really we want to showcase projects doing really positive things within the blockchain and crypto space. We want to probably unveil maybe for the first time some really interesting projects that are out there, what they're building, the teams behind them, the vision behind them, and even some existing projects that are out there. I think the Xtalks series will cover some existing projects as well that are doing some really interesting things in the space, whether they be DeFi, whether they be NFTs, whether they be digital ID, or much like today, whether they be in the gaming space. And I'm really excited about the three guests that we have in today. Some quite diverse projects, but extremely interesting projects. I've had the pleasure to talk to everyone who is on this X Talk Spaces today, and so I'm really looking forward to sharing for them to share with everyone here what they do, what their project is, what they're focusing on, how interoperability will play a role in that project, so we can all learn a little bit more about what projects are building in the space and how interoperability is going to play an important part in the future of blockchain. So without further ado, now I didn't, Lance, if you're there again, please request to come up. I did push accept, but for some reason it didn't come through. So if you do jump back on, Lance, please feel free to request. But look, let's kick off. So I'd love to hear from each person here today. I'd love for you guys to introduce yourselves, a bit about yourselves, a bit about your history, and also the project as well, the project that you're so passionate about. So let's kick off with Peter from Yoton. Peter, if you could introduce yourself and your project as well, that'd be brilliant.
Absolutely. First off, everybody, it is midnight '07 local time, and I've been working since about 5 a.m. So if I'm a little less than like fully cogent and eloquent, I apologize ahead of time. A little bit tired, but hi, everybody. My project is well. Let's start with my history in game design. I created a game called Cyberpunk, the collectible card game, about 20 years ago. And back then, it is the same universe as the Cyberpunk Red project, the video game. And back then, I was embedding little flakes of chrome into the collectible cards that we were printing, and we were scanning them, creating these randomized patterns, capturing fingerprints of them, trying to come up with a unique identifier system. And then we were, pushing consensus between retailers to figure out who owned which card. And carry us forward into modern day with, blockchain, NFTs, everything like that rising. I've dived back into the TCG space with this new project, Xfinitum, that we're creating, that is meant to be the world's first true digital TCG with independently owned NFTs that connect to physical cards. The physical cards have a thing that I have embedded in them that the human eye can't see, that is not electronically interceptable, but that does connect to an NFT and proves on blockchain indisputable ownership of that collectible card. And the game itself is really cool. Again, it's something I've been working on since Cyberpunk, so far as the rules is concerned. It's a unified card system that actually plays different games with the collectible cards. So those games can be as different as Magic and Pokemon, Monopoly, shooters. We have one that plays kind of like chess with collectible cards. It's a really fun, amazing project, and I'm loving the heck out of working on it. I guess that's the quick version.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Peter. And we'll definitely get you to dive in a little bit into more of the details there because it's a really exciting project that you're building, you're working on, that's been your vision for so long. And it's interesting as we dive a little bit deeper, as we move into further on into the spaces, to figure out actually the benefits, not only to the project itself, but the benefits to really the space in general in terms of what you're bringing. But no, welcome, Peter. Huge welcome to you, and thank you so much for joining us. Let's jump on to Ben from Hot Knife. Ben, welcome. We've obviously had talks before in the past as well. I know you guys are doing some pretty cool stuff in the gaming space. So please, yeah, introduce yourself and what is Hot Knife Studios all about.
Hey, thanks, Matthew. Yeah, so first of all, I hope everybody's had a fantastic Christmas. I know I'm still incredibly full and slightly jaded from...
Is it alcohol or food there, Ben? Full of?
Definitely food. I actually don't drink, but I've definitely had my fill of food over the last couple of days. So yeah, I hope everybody's done exactly the same and feels as terrible as I do. But yeah, thanks ever so much for inviting me up, Matthew. So a little bit about me. I'm what we might call a Web3 native. I know everybody's familiar with that term. Now, we're a fairly multinational gaming studio. We're fairly early on in our development, but we're developing a trilogy of realistic medieval games. Now, the thing that we really want to do with this is focus on the fun and the quality gameplay and the immersivity and true player ownership. Now, our end goal is to create an open world MMORPG. It's a lofty vision, so we're all working incredibly hard towards it. Now, I've been in blockchain for about just over 5 years now, nearly 6, and seeing the space develop as it has, it's actually tremendously exciting, especially in the gaming industry, because it's also new. So we're extremely excited about what we're building. We have a fantastic mix of both conventional Web 2 developers. In fact, I've seen that Mustafa's popped into the space. He's our lead developer. He's been working with companies the likes of just give me 2 seconds.
Ben, can you let me know? Yeah, let me know which one Mustafa is, and I can invite him up too. What's his handle?
Sure. So DHullQ is Mustafa.
Okay, thanks, mate. Let me jump in here. Oh, yep, got him. Okay, Mustafa. I just sent Mustafa an invite. So Mustafa, when you can, jump up, and I'd love to hear a bit about yourself and the project as well. But yeah, continue on, Ben, and I'm sure Mustafa will join us.
Sure. So yeah, I mean, Mustafa's worked with game studios like Crytek in the past, developing Crysis, the remastered versions and things like that. So we've got fantastic developers working for us, and we've got some phenomenal contacts from his time in the industry. So yeah, the first game that we're working on at the moment is a game called Bastion, which is an arena style PvP and PvE fighting game. So we're pretty excited about that, and getting the playable demo out to all you guys and everybody in between. So yeah, that's kind of our project and our team in a nutshell.
Excellent. Thank you, Ben. I've sent Mustafa a couple of requests. So when you can, Mustafa, please jump on up, and I'm more than happy to give you some time as well, just to introduce yourself. But as we're waiting for Mustafa, and let's hope Peter doesn't fall asleep between now and next time. We appreciate the time zone difference, Peter. So thank you very much. Our third guest as well is John from DigaLabs. Now, John, obviously you've familiar with our spaces before, but please, for those for the people that don't know yourself, your journey, and also DigaLabs, please, please fill us in and fill everyone in on who you are and what you guys are doing.
Yeah, thanks so much, Matthew. Good morning, guys. Just wake up. The last night was a little crazy. Some dude made a live stream on his YouTube channel, and our token is pumped like 3x's. And I really fully energetic. This I love this space. I love this Web3 market. And I'm John. I'm CEO of DigaLabs, and we are building 3 different projects, almost 3 years. And one of them is DigArt, which is gaming infrastructure, and one of them is Elderun, is gaming studio. And on the DigArt side, we are developing gaming infrastructure like there will be SDK and BDK support for Web3 games, and there will be game market like Steam, and we have decentralized app and called DigArt.io. And on this decentralized app, we are developing a launchpad, a token launchpad, NFT launchpads, NFT shop, NFT and token staking, NFT upgrade system. And we have also a gamer profile for Web3 users, and they can claim their rewards, and they can check their history. Also, we are working on under DigArt, we are working on a project called DigArcade, which is a Web3 arcade game studio, and we are also working on Universal Gaming ID to connect all the gamers on the Web3. And for the Elderun side, we are developing 4 different games. One of them is World of Elimias, which is an idle game and available on PC and mobile. Currently, it's on open beta. And in the upcoming weeks, we will release our Heroes of Elderun, which is browser-based card game playable on PC and mobile browsers. And after that, at the end of the 2024 January, we will release our MOBA, which is League of Legends Dota-like game, available on PC and mobile. And also, we are working on a game called Elderun Journey, and it's also a browser game, and but it's more like a staking game, text-based story. And actually, while we are developing 4 different games, all the assets that we are using on these games are interoperable for each other, and with the support of Layer 1x, we will reach different chains, and so we will be interoperable square, I can say. And while we are developing these games, we focus different audience type. And for example, for the idle game World of Elimias, we focused the people which is gamer also has a full-time job, and they can enjoy and play. They can earn while playing during their day jobs while they're traveling. And in addition to this, Elder Rush, which is MOBA, is fully gamer-focused game. And Heroes of Elderun is, while you're playing Heroes of Elderun, you don't need to have some specific gaming skills, and it focuses luck and some basic skills about gaming. And for the Elderun Journey, you don't need to know anything about gaming, and you just read the story and stake your NFTs and tokens, earn some new assets. Yeah. Thank you so much, Matthew, and I'm glad to be here. And yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you, John. Maybe the easier question is, what are you guys not working on in the gaming space? You guys are doing so much. It's really impressive, and great to hear that the token is pumping as well. Let's call that the trickle before the flood of 2024. So yeah, great to hear. So thank you, everybody. Thanks all three of you for introducing yourselves and your project. Let's dive a little bit deeper into these projects and what you guys are doing. Maybe, Peter, if we can start with you. And we've had a few conversations in the past, and I know this is more than a project. This is a passion to you, because as you said, you'd started quite some years ago, right? And
Yeah.
and there's so many different elements. I love the fact there's so much thought that's gone into what you're doing from so many different angles. I'd love to hear a little bit more, if you can, and whatever detail you can share. Obviously, some of it you want to kind of keep behind closed doors for now, but I'd love to hear a bit about that. And also, what is the problem that you think the project is trying to solve? And for those people that are not quite fully deep into the gaming space, TCG, when Peter mentioned, and just tell me if I'm wrong here, Peter, but it means trading card game. Is that correct?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, perfect.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so yeah, give us a little bit more. Give us what you can give us in terms of what you're doing, because I think it's such an exciting thing.
Well, absolutely. We actually have a press release going out in like a week or so that's going to announce that the entire Valiant Comics universe is part of our game. So we've got some really cool stuff that's coming out. So there's a lot more that I can talk about that I wasn't able to talk about a couple months ago. But yeah, I mean, digging down into the problem that we're solving, because that's really been the heartbeat of it. When I was a little kid, I bought Magic cards in 1993, like when Alpha cards were up on the shelf. And for some of you, you'll be like, oh, yeah, of course, Magic the Gathering, right? But for some of you who don't know what that is, it's started the entire industry of collectible card games. And, the most valuable cards amongst them are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars from that era in 1993 and 1994. And in early 1995, as a kid, my collection was stolen. And I have a couple of those cards left, but the bulk of them are gone. And ever since then, that was a really horrible experience. It was this passion, this love, this thing that just it lit my brain on fire, and I had so much fun with it. And so that was part of why with Cyberpunk, I started to dig in and try to solve that problem of like, how do I make a card unstealable? And the answer is you can't make a card unstealable, but you can make a card authenticatable as stolen, and you can set certain limiters around it so that it is a broken asset if it gets stolen. And so what we sat down to develop here solves that problem. That is the heartbeat, is making it so that a bullied kid who loses their cards can have their cards replaced so that those cards get stolen. And that's the physical side, but we're also approaching this as a digital project, because decentralized ownership, Web3, being able to dive into that space and have an economy behind it also creates the ability for the players to have a shepherded secondary market. And that's a huge problem. You look at like Pokemon and Magic and the current games that are out there with the physical TCG space, and they're so desperate to get their teeth into the secondary market because they have no access to those players. $375 billion in movement in the secondary market last year for TCGs, and the front list market did like 6 billion. That's the gap, the disparity, right? And
Wow.
they're so desperate that they I know, right? It's wow, it's a huge disparity. And they're so desperate to get at that. That's why you have the Reddits about how Hasbro is destroying Magic, and with all of the just monster like release after release after release after release. And so part of the realization that I have was that the two problems that these industries have can actually solve each other. Inside of Web3, we have games that are finally starting to address the fact that they need to be fun first, which is amazing. But the first generation of Web3 games, they weren't that fun to play. I tried a lot of them, and I wanted them to be so desperately, but they weren't. And at the same time, with the physical games, you're trying to get access to that secondary market, that player base. Well, if you can create an economy where the secondary market is controlled with these NFTs that are moving back and forth, which allow for proof of the physical card, the flagging as stolen, flagging as lost, generational upgrading, while still keeping them legal in the game, there's always going to be an audience for the front list, and you're going to be supporting a community that really wants to thrive and grow itself, that has something that crosses between the spaces and creates a combined reality. And that's where I dig in. That's where I get really fascinated. That idea that like I sit down on my phone and I'm just going to play a quick game, but I could take the cards out of the phone, have the exact same set, go over to my friend's house and play the same game. That to me is just, I don't know. I geek out about it. It's too exciting, right?
That is extra. I mean, you know what I love about that is it's from a personal, it's from a personal situation that you had from a young age, and you thought, well, I want to solve this problem. And I love what you said about, the theft of the card. Really, what they can't steal is the authenticated ownership of that card. It sounds like what you guys are developing, and then the
Exactly.
transferability, going from, as you say, from your house to your friend's house. And look, the passion shows through, and what you're talking about as well. And look, obviously there's only certain things that we can share about what you guys are doing so far, but I know the way you're addressing the authentication, the verification of this is extremely unique, and has the potential to really assist not only your project but so many different projects within the gaming space and the NFT space.
Well, it would. I mean, I've had 30 years to work on solving the problem, and it would be a kind of useless solution if I only did it for myself, right? So
Yeah.
it's got to be for everybody.
No, I love that. I love that. Thank you so much, Peter. And I think we've got Mustafa up now as well. So, look, Mustafa, and what I've loved about the conversations we've had with Hot Knife is they are such a well balanced team. We've got, I know, Ben, we spoke before, Mark, Tiwa as well, and you guys are spread across the globe. And now Mustafa, it's great to kind of have you on, and maybe just if you want to maybe introduce yourself as well, because I know you've got a rich history in gaming, and maybe a bit about yourself and what made you kind of transition into maybe thinking about Web3 as well from such a rich Web2 gaming history. Welcome.
Hey, thank you for the invitation. I hope everybody can hear me.
Yeah,
Sorry,
perfect.
I'm a little bit sick over the holidays. It was a little bit hard with family. But yeah, back to me. My name is Mustafa. I'm game developer with over 10 years of experience and different projects. I mean, Ben told you that I work for Crytek, so maybe some of you know the Crysis games. I was involved in the remasters of them. Then one of the biggest projects where I worked was the exclusive game from Crytek named Rise, Son of Ram. It comes with the first Xbox One as an exclusive title. And yeah, there was many other little projects and bigger projects, different projects in that I was involved. And over the years, I had the idea of my own game. I start with it with the planning of this own game. I mean, it was around 7-8 years ago, and I tried it. I think 4 years ago, I tried over Kickstarter, but the big point, and this was that you can, that it is a play to earn game, and Kickstarter don't allow games like this. So with microtransactions or with crypto based things. So I found fast another option, and this was that I meet Ben in end of 2020, and then we start Hot Knife Studios. And yeah, so try or not try. So we built up over the years organic space, organic community, where we represent what we want to build, our vision, our dream. So it is not like a button smashing game or a luck game. So this was very important for me, that we don't offer a game where you only play a game based on luck. I mean, when you want to make fast money and with luck, then go to the casino and don't play a play to earn game. For us, it is important that your skills are very, very on the foreground, because with your skills you can prove that you are better in this game as another player. So everything what we create, every game and everything inside is everything skill based. So it is not nothing with luck or nothing with it can happen, it cannot happen. When you have the right skills, you'll definitely win. And yeah, to our games, it is very easy to say. I mean, we have firstly, we plan a big game, but I don't know how many inside this gaming scene and know how much AAA game, open world AAA game cost. I mean, there's nothing under $20 million, and 20 million is a very, very low budget for a AAA game. So we split this because we know 20 million to earn 20 million, it will very, very hard. So first of all, we must prove that we have the skills for this. So we split this game in 3 parts with Bastion, and then King of the Tables, and then the main game. So the main game will include the first 2 games. And yeah, with the first game, you will see how the graphic will looks. I mean, everybody told you, hey, we built on Unreal Engine 5, we built on Unreal Engine 5. I mean, we built on Unreal Engine 5 too, but we built really on Unreal Engine 5. I mean, we don't also outsource this or give this to another company and say, hey, here your money, build us a game. No, everything is created by us, to time by me. So I sit here with my equipment every day, create new stuff, new content, and hopefully we will come forward. And next off, we will present you all a demo game where everybody can download it on our website and play this and see our vision and the technical side of this, what we want to build. We have solutions for many problems. I mean, the biggest question is every time, hey, when you create a AAA game, how can everybody play this game without having a high-end PC? We have solutions for this too. I mean, we are in contact with a German company, gaming company. They built the first game, but is completely playable over cloud gaming. This means you can, this AAA game, play in 4K on every display. So you only need a display and a controller. They prove that you can stream this game on your tablet, so on your phone. So you don't need the best devices. What you need is only a strong internet connection. So we talk about minimum 25,000 Mbits. But I think in this time, in 2023 or 2024, this is nothing but nobody. I mean, in the poorest countries over the world, you have this internet connection. So we will offer this game for everybody, not only for the richest guys who have the high-end PC with what costs them $3,000 or $4,000. Everybody can play it over cloud gaming. So we will build our firstly we will rent server farms, but the future plan is that we build our own server farms where the games are every time play. So it works on the servers and you stream it directly from the server on the highest quality, and everything looks on your internet quality. Yes, this is one of our biggest points, or biggest plus points, I would say. But the other thing is the experience. How I said at the beginning, we don't outsource this project. We don't say, hey, give us your money and we will spend this money on an Indian company or something like this. Not that I say that the quality is bad or something like this. No, it can be good. But the vision is not the same. I mean, when you have a dream, when you have a vision, then you don't start to find a person who writes your book. I mean, you start to write your own book, and then you can let it correct. And this is the same way where we go. We start to develop this game. I mean, I'm a story writer and game developer, so we will start with this what we have, and definitely come with more experience over the time, and bring all this together. I mean, the biggest problems in game development are the bug fixes. The bug fixes cost many time. So this is why we start with the demo, and then with Bastion, then King of the Tables, and then the main game. So we have a strong base and build this up. And for us, it is important that we have developer in the future. So we will we hire developer, and that we have developer who works all the time with us, so they can grow up with us. And yeah, I think this is the main thing.
Yeah, yeah, that is. You guys are wow. I mean, you obviously you've got a great history in gaming, and even just that aspect that you were saying before of being able to play it on any device. Now, you said a device and a controller. So, do I have my controller with me? Let's say I want to play this game on a mobile device. What's the setup there? Do I need the controller with the mobile device and streaming it onto the? How does that work?
So sorry, I hope I understand you correctly. So you mean how you have your controller or with your
Yeah, when
device
you were
connected?
you were saying yeah. How does you were
Mm.
saying that you could play it on any device, and
Yes,
do you have a controller as well
yeah,
with
yeah.
the
So with
device?
controller,
Yeah.
with controller, I mean a controlling setup. Like, okay, you have the option to use the mobile controller function. I mean,
Oh
I'm sure
yes.
you
Okay.
played a mobile game.
Yeah.
I'm sure you played a mobile game. You will have this option. But another option is, I mean, did you ever connect your PlayStation controller with your tablet over Bluetooth?
Ah no. Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
Interesting.
right.
Yeah.
Right. It works. Yeah, I mean, this is another option. So you will have different options to connect any device on your phone, on your tablet, or anything else. Um, I mean, you know, PS. What was the name? I mean, it is a long time that I have PlayStation. I mean, I think 2 years now. But before I sell my PlayStation, I use this function that I stream from everywhere my PlayStation on my phone, and when I connect my controller to my phone, I can play it directly. PlayStation, not no PlayStation Connect or something like this. And this is the same base. I mean, it is nothing what is new, but it is a technique, but grow up over the time and come to a perfection. So for us, it is very important that we really give the people the option without spending many money to have fun with our games. And how Ben said too, fun is a very important thing. So we don't want a game where you think, oh, I have no money, I can't play this, or I must spend money to play this. You can play this game free. I mean, you can play it. And the options, the crypto side option, this is only an option. You can involve this in your game or not. It is your choice. So for us, it is really important that the Web3 gamers connect with the Web2 gamers, and that the Web3 gamers are not addicted to make money, to have more fun with the game. And the money thing
Yeah.
is on the side. And this is a very big point. What is the problem with the most games today? They are concentrated to make the most profit of the games, to make the most yeah, to give the gamers a task what they do every day only to be online. We want games where you are where you're happy to play this, where you think, oh, I can shut off the world, the real world, and dive into this world. And I am in my own game. Look at the games, what makes really fun, where you want to go every time, like Zelda, like some of Assassin's Creed. I will not say every Assassin's Creed.
No,
Or
no, yeah, but I agree with you. I
yeah,
think, and I think it's very much this similar point that Peter brought up about
mm,
making games that are enjoyable, that are enjoyable to play. And I think,
yes,
going to you, John, from Diga. I mean, I think we've spoken about this before, and you guys agree is that building games that are enjoyable to play. And maybe if you want to speak about that a little bit, what's your thoughts on maybe the problems you guys are solving, but also around games that are enjoyable to play, rather than just focused on play to earn all the time.
Yeah, thank you so much, Matthew, and that was a really cool answer, and thank you for the explanation, all the details, and Tulku, I think, yeah. On the Digar side, DigaLabs side, we are working different aspects of Web3, and we firstly, and we would like to make much easier to transaction from Web 2 to Web 3, both players and gamers. And for games, and we created a one line code technology. And if you have a Web 2 game, you can jump to Web 3 with this one line code. And so you're on the blockchain, but not for the on chain. It's like hyper, I can say. And on the other hand, for the fun side, I'm a gamer. My whole team, our whole team is gamers, and we love games, and we are playing games together, and we would like to test and provide more fun focused games to our community. And by doing this, we are focusing for different game type, and we would like to utilize all different game modes and games to become fun. And our most pain point, the pain point that we solve is probably interoperability on Web3, and with our games. And
Let's get into
one
a little bit
aspect,
about that then. Yeah, well, how are you guys using interoperability, and what role will it play in with DigaLabs?
yeah. And in here, there are two types of interoperability, and one part is interoperability between games. So I have an NFT and a token, and I can use this NFT and my tokens in 4 different games, and this will increase the scarcity of the token and NFTs, and we will have a chance to reach different type of players, and we will have a chance to reach more stable game economy. And the other part of the interoperability, we are a multi-chain project. We have been on Avalanche, we have been on Polygon, we have been on Ethereum, and we made NFT sales over there. And our goal is always to be a multi-chain project. We are currently on BNB chain, but with the features and revolutionary features of layer 1x, and we don't need to try to reach other chains. And we will fully become an interoperable project. And on the NFT side, with usable on different games, and chain side, we will have a chance to reach all the EVM and non-EVM platforms, networks, and players with the support of Layer 1x. And I can say interoperability is the biggest problem that we are solving. And one part of developed by us, one part of the interoperability is powered by Layer 1x.
That's great, John. No, I appreciate that. So interesting. So talking about the ability now to span across multiple chains and not be restricted to one. Peter, in terms of interoperability, how will that play a role in what you're doing, you and your team are doing, and how does it, I suppose, how do people benefit from interoperability integrated into your project?
That's for the stage that we're at, this is actually one of the things that I can talk about the least, but there's a little bit that I can go into. We are a narrative species. Humans are. We tell stories to each other. That's how we interact, how we share, how we learn, and it's how we have fun, right? And so a big part of game design, and I know this seems like a weird place to start, but this actually does head towards interoperability. A big part of game design is making sure that you have fun. And so to me, as a designer, a lot of that comes into the story, into the narrative. And so the team that I have has been working really hard to make sure that the narrative structures of these cards can actually be story driven when it comes to upgrading the cards. And as we move deeper and deeper into story driven content and allowing the players to be able to craft that instead of just us as the publisher saying, well, this is this character's story and how it happens, we are teaching our player base over the next numerous years how to design cards with the eventual goal of allowing them to create player-driven expansions, which then moves into utilizing the universal card system because it can play cards not just from our game, but from other games to have a almost Unity or Steam-like engine. And at that point, if we have an, not Steam, Unity or Unreal, it is after midnight, I'm playing that card. And once that engine is up, we've got the base, we've got the logic. It's just going to take time to teach people how to use it, and how to take those stories and shape them into things. But at that point, if you're stuck to one chain, you're dead in the water. You're not really giving a gift to the community. You're not giving the player base across Web3 something where they can take these gaming assets and say, well, I want to go make my game over here. I want to go make my game over here. And it's doubly important because generation one of blockchain games, right? It was about which chain you were on because they had the players. But more and more, we're all figuring out, we make great stories, we make great games, we'll find the players. So let's go for the strongest chain, let's go for the strongest deployment, and let's try to get out to as many player bases as we can because we just want people to have fun. And I think that end game on interoperability is really kind of a laser focus for us, but not in the now or next plan. It is in the later plan as to how we progress through our generational growth.
Very interesting. Yeah, it's almost like saying, I've written a book and now I'm only going to put it in this library. Well, why limit yourself to that one? Why don't have it in every library so everyone can enjoy it?
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I think, there's some common ground between yourself and Mustafa. Mustafa being, very much about the story as well. I think, Mustafa, you said that was your strength as well, the story, the narrative, the environment there. What about you guys? How does and Ben or Mustafa, how does interoperability, or how can interoperability play an important role in what you guys are doing?
Yeah, I think I can probably cover that one for you, Matthew. I think just to touch on what Peter was saying, actually, with the two like distinct things that you use or distinct assets that you might use in a game, you've got primarily NFTs and the token, right? So if you can have true interoperability, you just got to think about the world that opens up in Web3. And I think that's one of the strongest things that we have, like the strongest assets that we have in Web3 in terms of gaming. You kind of break down those siloed walls because, as Peter was saying, you've traditionally had all of these small networks that are like the secret gardens of Web3. So if we can break those down using interoperability, the whole world opens up to you. So if you can transfer your NFTs between one game on one chain and one game on another chain, you instantly increase your player base and your interest base by an enormous margin. And I think to go to what you guys are doing at Layer 1X, that's where it needs to be to truly make gaming, or Web3 gaming, a global powerhouse. And I think that's how we kind of truly harness like the disruptive power of Web3 in gaming, is if you can break down all those walls.
Yeah, 100%. And it's really interesting. I mean, it's been quite a journey for me as well, just talking to so many projects within the gaming space, and some of these common themes that come out, and Ben, you mentioned them, and I think a couple have been mentioned on the spaces. Is one is building games that people enjoy playing, but also giving access to that game to as many people as possible. And that with the true interoperability, I think that one of the unique things about the technology that Layer 1X has is that even verification cross-chain, where you may have an NFT that you want to allow into your game. So that NFT might be on, say, Binance Smart Chain, you might be on Polygon or Layer 1X. And even just you can verify cross-chain the ownership of the NFT, and then through that verification, then you don't even need to move the NFT cross-chain to enter the game with it. It can just be verified cross-chain, and then, okay, yes, you have access to that particular, whatever that is, weapon, tool, whatever that is within the game. So there's so many different things that can be done, but I think the overarching theme here is gone are the days where you have to stick to one chain and pick one chain and be limited to the users on that chain. And it probably comes back to some of the challenges that are facing gaming projects when choosing a chain. Is it, I mean, and you guys know this the best, when you're choosing a chain, do you find yourself in a position where you either have to choose cheap and fast, or you've got to choose users and capital? So we're either talking Ethereum or we're talking somewhere else. I mean, what are some of the challenges, and this is an open floor for this question, what are some of the challenges being faced by gaming developers that want to integrate blockchain, that want to work in Web3 currently when you're choosing a chain?
Yeah, I mean, there's a multitude of issues really that you have to from my perspective anyway, that you have to kind of weigh up. And it is literally a balancing act, because on one hand you've got the kind of scalability, high volume of TPS that all real-time gaming is going to need. You need that throughput. And some, there are blockchains that have that, but maybe then they don't have the kind of community and ecosystem that you want. You need engagement for a game, and you need lots of engagement from the crowd, from the players, from the people. But if they've got a tiny community, they don't have the kind of engagement with their blockchain, they don't have either the capital or the outreach or the business development, then you might have the technology there, but no one's going to play your game because no one knows about it. So you're kind of sat in that middle ground where you've got one thing that you want, but not the other. So there's always this interplay between what chain to choose, and do they have the right equipment to kind of service your platform, to service your game and really get you out there, but also provide you and your gamers with the technology that you need for that game to do really, really well. And I think that's the main thing. And then another thing is security. I mean, that's an enormous issue with blockchain, as you'll know, Matthew, and everybody else here will know. So if you don't have this true interoperability, you have these instant kind of security issues from being cross-chain or trying to be cross-chain, not to mention the technological difficulties with security of bridges and things like that, where you don't want to have to be transferring assets or transferring currency because of the security issues or potential security issues from fraud on the bridges. So there's from my perspective, especially games who want to really kind of stretch out and be seen and used, you've got a multitude of issues that you always have to be thinking about.
Yeah, I
sorry,
couldn't
I was
agree
muted.
more.
Yeah, please, Peter. Yeah.
Yeah, the security thing is a huge one, right? That was one of our first things that we looked at. But I've actually had a different set of issues, so I'll have fun with that. I'm a weird duck. I'm an oddball. I know that. I write novels. I make games. I have fun for a living. So when I'm in the room and I'm talking to different chains, the question that I actually ask people, which Matthew, you went through this. What's your favorite movie? I want to know if I can geek out with somebody. If I can geek out with somebody, then I'm going to find a solution to the problems that we're going to have. And so for me, the relationships are actually the most important thing. And this is a space where some people are really amazing about relationships and some people just want to move on to the next big win. It's a very young industry, right? And so finding those people who are into finding the other people they can geek out with, that's where you find the solutions to problems. So that's been my big thing is trying to figure out and weed out who like the good actors and the really awesome people are, and saying, okay, that's a partnership I want. That's a friend I want to make.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I mean, there's so many different things when you're starting up in any business, of course, but with Web3 gaming, if you're in Web3 of a blockchain, there's so many different things that require your focus, right? When you're analyzing change, when you're analyzing security, you're looking at relationships, and that's probably just a handful of things that really that are on the list of focuses and to-dos and all these things that you have to really kind of start to get underway when you're developing a game. So it really is, and I only say that because Layer 1X, coming from a startup itself, I just want everyone to listening to understand that we're only covering a few different aspects of the challenges of developing games and building things here, but there's so many different things to focus on. So I think relationships are important because you want to be able to work through issues, and there's no journey is perfect, and I think all of us that have been in the startup space, that it's never a straight line. But what helps is relationships that you build along the way that can help, where you can work through those issues, where you can find common ground, where you can have win-wins, and you're on the same page. I think you raise a really good point there, Peter, and talking about that. Do any of and a question once again for all three projects, do any of you have any interesting or exciting upcoming partnerships or recent integrations that you want to talk about or let the audience know of?
I can go with that. We are planning to launch our NFTs on Avalanche before our Layer 1X integration. And also we are working another important milestone, and we will check it if it's possible. We will announce it today, and this will also a perfect chain and which has a perfect community, and so we have probably two big news and about partnership, not partnership, but chain, integrating new chains. But like once the Layer 1X is live, we don't need to do something like this. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Once we move to Layer 1X and with all our assets, so we are ready to go, and for new audience.
That's a really good point, and that's the great thing. I mean, for me personally about Layer 1X is that we're not here to compete. We're here to unite. So when we hear about chains doing offering great things and projects doing really good things, whether they're on our chain or not, I think it's really important for people to understand what's happening in the space, and also the ability for us, if we recognize something going on in a chain, or if there's a really great project there that requires more users connected to it, then and if we're not connected to that chain, then it gives us an opportunity to connect that to that chain to give more access to that particular project, to more users and capital, and give users access to that project, whether they're on that chain or not. So, anyone else got any interesting partnerships or integrations that they'd like, or exciting upcoming partnerships, or existing partnerships, current partnerships, or integrations that you'd like to share?
I'll jump in on that.
Yeah, please.
Well, as I mentioned before, our press release is going out sometime in the first week of January. We have the Valiant Comics universe, which is the third largest interconnected superhero universe after Marvel and DC. A lot of how we've been building has been based around weaving really cool stories together and working with existing studios and IPs, as well as developing our own. So right now we are in talks with Warner, Universal, Paramount, and Disney. And I can't let you know which projects we're going for, but there's going to be a really, really cool shared world. We're calling it the Omniverse. It's the multiverse of multiverses, and all of these different movies and comics and various things that we're weaving together have a shared singular storyline. So yeah, that's where we're headed, and it's a lot of fun.
Wow, that sounds extremely exciting. An omniverse with some of those names you've just mentioned. That's fantastic, Peter. That's really great. So yeah, that's something really exciting for everyone to get excited about in terms of that partnership, or those partnerships that you mentioned. Well done. And in terms of, I might just throw up another question here, and I'm conscious of people's time, and I'm conscious of Peter, your time zone as well. So maybe just a few more questions, if that's okay, if we can do a few more. Let me ask you this then. What are your thoughts on the current state of Web3 gaming? And where do you see it heading in the next few years? I mean, where are we at now in terms of Web3 gaming? And what will be different about the next few years as we kind of progress, as Web3 gaming progresses? That's a question for anybody, whoever wants to take that one up.
Yeah, currently we are still in early stage, and I believe that, and that there are solutions and there are projects focuses to move Web2 gamers into Web3, and most of the Web2 players thought Web3 is still a scam. And once the big names like Epic Games and Steam jump to the game, and the things will start to change. The real bull run for Web3 games will start at that moment. But before that, like small projects like us, and we'll try to move, small other game development studio and their community into Web3. So we need to try to move these communities into Web3, because we need to show to our big brothers, and that here is a huge opportunity, and there are good gamers. And once all the current Web3 projects have a chance to show this to the big names and to our big brothers, and probably it will happen in 2 or 3 years, or in the upcoming bull run. And with first last bull run, even Facebook changed its name, and it's a really huge hype. And once we enter a new bull run, maybe Steam will change its name to Meta Steam. I don't know.
maybe Meta would have been better plowing all those billions rather than into their metaverse, maybe into your omniverse, Peter. Maybe they would have been maybe they would have been better doing that. But I'm really actually, you bring up a good point. Maybe I might just edit the question a little bit. So, what's going to bridge that gap, but for Web 2 adoption of Web 3? What really, practically speaking, what is it going to take? And I'm interested to hear your guys' thoughts, whether it's yourself, Ben, Mustafa, or Peter. What is going to bridge that gap? What's going to bring the users?
Yeah.
Oh,
no, go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, you go, Peter. Yeah, sorry. I was just going to quickly say, I think there's two things to that. One, which kind of feeds into the previous speaker's point of proving that there can be competitive games come out of the Web3 space that are universally acceptable. Because I think what we've seen so far is that because it's such a new industry, and this always happens in new technologies, new industries, is there's this flurry of very quick to the mark offerings that are, subpar. So now we're starting to see some kind of traction and some real interest from genuinely good developers coming in. And once we start getting games that are competitive with conventional Web 2 games, that Web 2 players can truly find fun and see on a level with the games that they're used to playing in, on the world stage, then you'll get natural adoption from that. Because I think at the moment, a lot of blockchain games that have come before haven't been fun. They've not stood up against any of the sort of conventional Web 2 games. So people aren't actually going to play them. They're not going to find them fun. They're not going to choose those over a Web 2 game that they can pick up outside of the Web 3 space. But then there's also this idea that there is a technological barrier that blockchain can present sometimes. And I think that's in a large part to how blockchain has been used in gaming so far. And that's one of that sort of feeds into one of the problems that we see as kind of trying to fix, really, is this idea that there's a very, very, it's not been a seamless integration of blockchain into games. So it's been quite clunky, and there's been like UX issues that we all know about. But until that's solved as well, and there isn't that kind of technological barrier to Web 2 players' entry into Web 3 games, where they don't need to think about the blockchain. It's not difficult for them. There's no real learning curve. Some players might enjoy that, fair enough, which is why we've got Web 3 gamers in the first place. But for the majority of people, they just want to go in, they want to play a game, maybe use their credit card or their debit card to buy a couple of assets and what have you, and then they leave, and that's it. They've had their fun, they can enjoy the game, and there's no barriers to payment or to playing. And I think those two things are going to be two of the major hurdles that this industry needs to get over to truly see Web 2 adoption.
Thank you, Ben. No, I appreciate that. Peter, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I do. Really, really good salient points there. There's one other thing though that I think I'm watching over the next 5 years. I think that we should all kind of keep an eye on. Right now, tokenomic models are tied to game assets just enough that the SEC and the recent US crackdowns on NFTs is going to have an eye turned on gaming. So interoperability in between games themselves and the ability to start moving NFT as an asset between different games, techniques like that, where you get multi-use and utility out of assets instead of just a single asset that's pegged on a speculative market or on a mining operation or on whatever various technique you use, is going to be how GameFi needs to kind of shift to get the giants, to get the bigger siblings, to get the SEC off of crypto's back. And I think that's worth noting.
actually an extremely good point. I've actually never considered that point until now. You raising that, because and what for everyone listening, what Peter's getting at here is that to be able to classify an asset, a utility, it must have proven utility. And so with interoperability, has the opportunity to give the asset utility or more utility because of the interoperability and its usability across multiple different chains, different applications. That's pretty much what you're saying there, Peter. Is that the point that you're making?
Yep.
Wow. Yeah. That's that's a really good point, and I'm glad you brought that up. I think extremely good points from yourself, from Ben, and from you as well, John. Thank you. And so in terms of so look, and that probably feeds into my next question here, is then obviously how do you think interoperability will impact the future of Web3 gaming? I think, Peter, you just raised a really good point in terms of, okay, well, it could actually help in terms of classifying the NFTs within games or the assets within games as utilities. Ben, I think you talked about an interesting one in terms of the kind of seamless between Web 2 and Web 3, and I think interoperability extends beyond Web 3. I think what you're mentioning there is the interoperability between Web 2 and Web 3, and have that be a seamless experience where, and just so you know, and everyone else knows, we are actually working on extending our interoperability beyond Web 3 into Web 2. So information can be converted to Web 3 from Web 2 and vice versa, Web 3 back to Web 2, so that the experience can be seamless. And with the introduction of the digital identity that we're building out, where you can bring in these personal, this personal data from your socials, from all these various platforms, it allows you then to kind of almost build like, take away the need for seed phrases, take away the need for these private keys, and make it a much more simple, much more familiar experience for the Web 2 gamer as well, which I think is really quite interesting. Any points that we haven't covered so far that you think where interoperability may play a role in the future of Web 3?
I actually just want to really quickly jump in and say what you're talking about doesn't just cover games. I mean, this is the beauty of Web3 and of Meta not scrubbing your advertising data, of you controlling your data, of you controlling yourself, and not being just part of the aggregate and mean of big data of the world. You taking control. It's the getting to the Web 2, getting to the physical world it's helpful for everybody. It's not just gamers.
Really good point. And it's interesting, like you say, it's one of the visions of Layer 1X as well, to give that data ownership back to the individual. Because when you look at these big companies, I mean, I think when we did our research, the top 5 companies that make money out of your data are making $750 billion a year. So, when you look across the whole industry, there's trillions of dollars being made out of other companies owning your data and monetizing from the data. And it's not just the monetization. I think, it's security as well, which has been brought up multiple times on this space, is with, I think everyone, no country is immune from hacks. No enterprise, no corporate, no business can feel safe from that. So, there's all these things that we can develop in terms of having it. When you combine data and interoperability together, it provides a really powerful, I suppose, system and opportunity, not just for gaming, but as you say, Peter, for many different things. So, guys, listen. How is there anything? 2 questions in one, and if you all please, both, if everyone can have a chance at answering this question, are there any upcoming events or milestones you'd like to share with the audience? And also, how can listeners learn more about your project, get a little bit more information on what you guys are doing? How can they kind of be a little bit more connected to what you're doing? So 2-part question: any events or milestones coming up, and then for the listeners there, how can people get more involved with your project?
Sure, I'll jump in. So the milestone for us, our biggest milestone, which I think Mustafa mentioned before, is our playable demo. that's the one thing that we're most excited about producing right now, and we're in in the middle of developing that. So please watch out for that, because it will be, as Mustafa said, a true representation of the quality of the game that we're going to be putting out. Our socials and how to be connected with us. Easiest thing to do is follow our Twitter, and I encourage folks to do that. And on there is our website. Now, on our website holds all of our social connections, our social links, so to our Discord server and our Telegram server, YouTube, and everything else on there. So, yeah, please follow us on here, and then get to our socials through our website.
Excellent. Thank you, Ben. Peter or John, two-part question. Any upcoming events or milestones, and then how can listeners learn more about and get more involved in what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. We actually just hit a bunch of our milestones. We had a whole narrative structure for our Discord, so we're really excited that that's actually going live this week. The tabletop playable demo, we have 340 cards. They connect to the digital space. Our tutorial digital game is now demoable. Our reader tech that connects the two, the digital to the physical, is demoable. We're kind of landing square on our milestones. But the big one for me is that we are just launching our first real crypto foray into our economy, and it's a very, very different thing. It's kind of a game node, but it's not a computer. And I would love it if people would hop on our website, grab me on Twitter. I can send out white papers, follow us on LinkedIn. All of our socials are there. Come join our Discord, see what we're all about. So yeah, LinkedIn, Twitter. Here, obviously, I'm on as me instead of as the company, but I can direct you over if you tag me on Twitter.
Excellent. Thank you, Peter. Pretty exciting. All these milestones. That's great. And then, John, from yourself, upcoming events, milestones, and how can people, listeners, learn more about what you're doing?
Yeah, we will start a new tournament on Eldorun site, World of Elimnia site, next week. And in the mid of January, we will release our trading card game, and it's a thing. And also we will release Eldorun Journey, our staking game, and in also January. And at the end of the January, we are planning to launch our MOBA. And so with every game, we have different tournaments, and we will make different tournaments, I can say that. And also, as a DigArt team, we would like to try your games, guys, and we would like to create content. And Peter, Hot Knife, and if you guys, I followed both of you, and if you guys send us some guidelines and how to join, how to participate, how to play, and create a content about your project, guys.
That's great. That's what I love about this space. So much willingness to work together and help each other succeed. So look, lastly, this last words from everybody, and let's direct this to maybe the budding Web3 developers or gaming developers out there. What advice, what key piece of advice would you give to people that are looking to to build in the Web3 gaming space, or develop in the Web3 gaming space? What advice would you give to them? Other than, of course, build on Layer 1X, but what's the second bit of advice?
Yeah, I can jump it. I can say never stop. The beer run is really hard for us, and for example, like 14 months earlier, we sold our cars, and we realized our investment and invest all of our assets into our projects. And currently, yesterday we made like 4x, and don't stop and keep building, keep grinding. This market is really surpriseful.
Thank you, John. Ben, Peter, what advice would you like to share with as budding developers and Web3 builders? Gaming.
Ben, do you want to go? I've got a whole thing.
Yeah, I'll be quick and succinct. I think it kind of echoes what John was just saying. Don't be put off by a bear market. If the market isn't singing, just keep on building. I mean, that sounds quite kitsch, but genuinely, we've struggled with kind of development and funding, but it hasn't stopped us. And building in a bear market, you have to see that as a plus point, because you don't want to be building when the bull market's in full force, because then you'll be watching everybody else making tons of gains, and you'll still be building whatever you're building. So don't be frightened of a bear market, because it's actually a gift in one way. Yeah, so I think that's my biggest piece of advice.
No, that's great perspective. Thank you, Ben. Appreciate it. Peter.
Yeah, that is really good advice. So as my friend Paul over at Dandelion likes to say, friends don't let friends start startups, but they're going to anyway. So remember who your friends are. Remember that they shouldn't have let you start a startup, but they're there by your side anyway, because it's going to be tough, it's going to be hard, and it's going to kick your ass. But the other thing is that I also write novels, and I've done a whole lot of Comic-Cons. I've done a whole lot of writing seminars. I've heard 1,000 success stories, and everyone is unique and amazing and beautiful for how somebody succeeded getting their first book out there, getting their first comic out there, getting their IP out there, getting their passion out there. I've actually only ever heard one success story. I gave up and stopped trying. So don't stop trying. Embrace your passion, and you have to make that choice every day.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Words of wisdom from all three of you guys. Look, it's been an absolute pleasure for myself, and I'm sure it has been for everyone listening, and everyone that will listen to the spaces. I'd just like to a massive thank you to Ben from Hot Knife Studios. You guys are building something pretty extraordinary there with your AAA gaming history. The focus on from Mustafa on his abilities first in terms of environment and story. We really look forward to what Hot Knife Studios produces, and we're backing you guys all the way. Fantastic. Peter, once again, it's been a pleasure to hear your passion come across about your project, all the goals that you guys are really kicking. It makes sense because, I mean, there's so much thought, so much passion has gone into this project, so many different aspects that are really quite extraordinary. You guys deserve the best of success, and we're backing you all the way as well. And John, finally from DigaLabs, a big supporter of ours and us of you. You guys have got so many things that you're doing within the space. And it's been a pleasure working with you so far and also into the future. So huge thank you to all of our guests today. Thank you for everyone listening. Stay tuned to our next Xtalks. But as we mentioned before, if you want to catch up with whether it's Peter or Hot Knife or John from DigaLabs, please follow them on their Twitter, or LinkedIn. Reach out to them. Make sure you notice their handles here, so you can follow through to those handles. But once again, thank you so much to my guest today. Appreciate everybody, and here's to a fantastic new year. Here's to a massive 2024, and everyone winning. Thank you.
Thanks ever so much, Matthew, and really appreciate the chance to be talking on here. It's been fantastic.
Yeah,
Thank you,
the
Ben.
same. And Ben, I hope your stomach settles from all that food.
Oh, thank you, Peter.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure it will. I'll give it some time.
Yeah, and thank you for Peter for staying awake through the whole lot. And unless it was AI, Peter, but I'm pretty sure we had the authentic thing.
Right.
Appreciate you, gentlemen. Thank you very much, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thanks, everybody.